Saints training camp set to get underway this Thursday, now joined by ESPN's Mike Triplett. And Mike, it seems like it's just taken the longest time to finally get here where we can be back in person.
I know. Well, I mean, even all of last year was so unusual, and then this offseason was abbreviated. And, so there's the excitement of getting back to training camp, and a training camp that's going to be like really no other we've ever covered. A lot of times I've shown up for this first week in July, and it's like, oh, there's the same 45 guys. I wonder who the fourth receiver and the backup guard's going to be this year. It's who's the quarterback going to be, who's going to start at all these positions on defense, who's the receivers going to be. A lot of question marks for this team.
The biggest question mark coming up just this past week, hearing of Michael Thomas's ankle surgery that he had in June, and now he's potentially going to miss the start of the season. What do you know about this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's unfortunate that the surgery didn't get done earlier in the season. We don't know exactly why he waited, if he was hoping it would heal without surgery. But I think the optimistic outlook is this is the way to get it completely healed, whether that's in September or October or even November. But hopefully at some point this season, he's back to being Michael Thomas, because last year he was hampered by that ankle injury all year, and this team really needs him. I mean, it was the Alvin Kamara show last year. It's going to be the Alvin Kamara show again, but they really need Michael Thomas close to 100%. At some point this season, because I thought the receiver position was very, very thin, even when we thought he was going to be around for the whole season.
Another position that's very, very thin that we probably would have prioritized over wide receiver is cornerback.
Yes.
With the loss of Janoris Jenkins to the salary cap casualty. And now we don't know if Marshawn Lattimore is going to face a potential game suspension. They did just sign Brian Poole, though. Do you see that potentially helping the need at cornerback?
Well, it'll definitely help. They're going to have to get creative with how they mix and match parts, though. One thing about Brian Poole is he's been one of the best slot cornerbacks in the NFL. Well, C.J. Gardner-Johnson's been one of the best slot defenders in the NFL. Patrick Robinson has always been better in the slot. P.J. Williams has always been better in the slot. They really need an outside cornerback, and I don't know which one of those guys they plan to move from the slot to outside. But at least they have these options, and Brian Poole is another really good pro that will help in some capacity. I don't know if that means they're not done shopping for cornerbacks yet, or if somebody's going to move to the outside, but certainly he makes this team better.
Well, and if there's one thing we've learned about the Saints defense is chemistry is a huge priority, and we've seen them have success, obviously, with Quan Alexander last year, and he and Demario Davis really kind of finding a groove. Now we can see that with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Brian Poole, who are both at Florida. Do you see that being a possibility?
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, they've embraced that addition for sure. And, C.J.'s not going to let him take his job, though.
Right.
I'll tell you that. I know C.J. takes a lot of pride in being known as a lockdown guy in the slot. But maybe they'll work inside together.
Quarterback. Everybody's going to be looking for it. I know all of the cameras will be turned to Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. What do you expect to see, at least in the first few days of reps, for those quarterbacks?
I don't think they're going to give anything away. They'll probably be over careful to take turns every other day, and make sure that we're not out here reporting, oh, it looks like this guy's ahead, and they'll probably hate it if people try to be like, he was 7 of 8 passing and he was 4 of 8 passing with an interception. But that's how we're going to be covering this camp, because everybody's so focused on them. I mean, honestly, I think they both have an equal shot at it, but I feel like if they were going to make Taysom Hill the quarterback, you got to go all in with Taysom Hill. You got to make it a Taysom Hill offense. You design the playbook around him. You design the personnel around him. If this truly is, you two are running the same offense and it's 50-50, I think that favors Jameis Winston, but he's going to have to earn it, because if he doesn't look like he's ready, if he doesn't look like his accuracy and turnover issues from the past, we know they trust Taysom Hill.
Right. One of the things, too, is people like to argue that either Taysom Hill is going to have success or Jameis Winston is going to have success. Both can't thrive in this offense. Do you see maybe some potential for seeing both of them this year?
Well, that's another reason why I lean toward predicting Jameis Winston is the front runner, because if Jameis Winston is the quarterback, we know that Taysom Hill can still play a ton of snaps. Heck, he could be the number 2 receiver and the number 2 tight end for this team, because they're so thin at those positions. He could run the ball. He could have a package of plays. So that, if Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback, I don't know where that leaves Jameis, basically as a traditional backup quarterback. So that's one reason to lean toward potentially thinking that Jameis is the front runner. But again, front runner on July, July 26th is different than front runner on, September 10th.
You talk about some of the positions they're thin at. You think of tight end, wide receiver, even now defensive tackle. Do you see some of these rookies and second-year guys really having to show up this year and play in those key moments as we saw last year when wide receivers went down?
They have to. And you said it, second-year guys. We're going to look at this rookie class and see if Peyton Turner, Pete Werner, Paulson Adebo can make an early impact. But they need last year's draft class that was really quiet last year.
Mm-hmm.
Cesar Ruiz, he was splitting time with Nick Easton last year. This year, he's got to be the guard, and he's got to look like a first-round pick. Zach Bond is going to be competing for possibly a starting linebacker job. They would love it if he delivers and earns that. And then Adam Troutman at tight end. I mean, I think people are already making him their fantasy starting tight end just because they're like, who else is going to catch passes in New Orleans? So I'm really excited about his potential. But they're counting on those guys in big roles.
Aside from quarterback, are you going to be keying in on anyone in training camp right away that you want to get a vision of?
Yeah, we touched on it. The cornerback position and the receiver position are the two big ones. Those are the ones where we want to identify who's going to actually be starting for this team. But no, I think I'll get fired if I'm not watching the quarterbacks all the time.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. As we mentioned, Saints training camp beginning this Thursday. It's going to do it for us here in Metairie. Back to you.